following podcast is recorded and produced by the Podcast Precinct in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com. The Podcast Precinct. Consistency, creativity, culture.
Hi, and welcome to the Sci Fi podcast. I'm Tony Harper, and with me today in studio, I have my guest, Dave Clark.
Good morning.
Dave, just so that you know, we are going to go over the news, and I have my notes today with me, so it's a lot better today. First, please jump in if you are interested in the topics I'm going to cover.
I just love the pen and paper on the Sci Fi podcast.
Listen, I have two laptops already set up to record video, and a third laptop I'm recording audio on. So that's not even mine; it belongs to the studio here. So I got enough stuff going on. I can't imagine adding something else onto it. And last week, if you guys listened, I had a hard time finding the news directly on my phone because news articles for sci-fi tend to be all over the place, and a lot of what's on there is commentary. And I didn't want to cover commentary on something. I wanted actual news. For instance, Disney is now planning a live-action Treasure Planet.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's stepping back to the 60s.
So apparently they're making a remake on it, and that's all I got out of it. There wasn't a whole lot of substance in that particular article, but thought that would be interesting for people. Let's see. Marvel is adopting The Mandalorian into a comic book.
All right. A little money grab, but hey.
First run will be about 8 issues. It'll be written by Rodney Barnes and illustrated by George Gentry. And I'm going to friggin' mutilate people's names on this podcast.
It's expected.
A mint condition Terminator VHS tape sold for, guess for how much, Dave?
Oh, geez, mint condition. Not Terminator 2, Terminator 1.
Terminator 1.
Because I'd pay more for Terminator 2. Actually, I've always wanted just a one of these, just a thumbs up sticking out of a little glowing table of lava. Oh, let's see. I'm going to have to go with $18K.
That's not a bad guess. It's a little low. It went for $32,000.
Hey, I shop at the bargain basement places where you get half off.
Microsoft is in early talks about a new Fallout game.
Oh, God.
New Vegas, too.
Oh, excellent.
All right. Star Trek's Lower Decks is getting a game for iOS and Android. It's in early production right now.
Well, hopefully they don't dog that. Great show, but they tend to be a little light when they're doing their iOS games.
Let's see, what else did I have here? Star Wars Fallen Order 2 should be out by May 4th.
I might have finished the first level of the first one by that time. That is a brutally hard game.
I never finished it. Like, I played it some, and I'm like, oh, this is horrible.
Dark Souls in space.
Yeah. There will be a TV adaptation of The Man Who Fell to Earth on April 24th on Showtime.
Never read the book. I'm pretty sure they
made it really either.
I feel kind of bad about that. That's one of those classics, but
yes.
Internet world. Just because it's a classic doesn't mean it's good. Sorry, Tale of Two Cities. I was mentally and emotionally scarred by that book as a child, and like the 3 times I had to read it in 9th grade, and then 9th grade again. Just because it's a classic doesn't mean it's good.
Lego is dropping action figure or the little Lego figures of both Cad Bane and BB-1.
There's not already? I am amazed that there's not already a BB-1 minifig.
I don't know. That was one of the news articles I got.
It just seems like one of that little ball is just made out of solid gold and wrapped in $1 million bills for Disney.
Well, I mean, Disney Plus ended up with a lot of my stuff because I can find information from Disney and what they're doing. For instance, they're actually doing like a Korean movie, try to pop off of Squid Game.
Yeah.
Right? It's called the Grid, and it's a sci-fi show on Disney Plus. I don't really have more information than that. I just know it's a new.
So it's not the Squid
Korean.
Game. Everyone just stands in a grid. And
That's the information I got right now on it. Mad Max Furiosa is still in production with no release date yet.
Cannot wait. If they need any help, you guys need any help, give me a call. I will take a week off. I will fly out to Australia, and I will help. No problem. I'll pay my own flight.
Obi-Wan Kenobi releases on May 25th.
Excellent. Can't wait.
Can't wait for that one either. Halo Season 1, March 24th.
Another one I can't wait for.
Live action done. Who did that? Because I didn't write that down in my notes. Do you remember? Is that going to be available? Is it Netflix? No.
It is going to be Disney Plus, I think, isn't it?
Is it Disney?
Oh, I don't know. I drink too much.
I can't remember right now either. And
On one of every streaming service you probably already have.
Yeah, probably. Gundam Evolution is a new game, and that's going to be our topic for today, sci-fi games. It's going to have a PC open beta, and I believe you can sign up by March 28th through Steam to play it on the PC open beta on April 7th through the 12th. And they're expecting a fall 2022 release.
That's
for
early.
that game. From the one article I read, because I got this one from Forbes, they say it's a little bit going to be like Overwatch. My friend show Anime Made Me Do It also mentioned this on their podcast. Unfortunately, they didn't have release dates and all that kind of stuff on there, just because that information wasn't available to them yet. And I'm not sure they actually checked Forbes to look for news. That's what I say. Like sci-fi news is all over the place.
Sci-fi, Forbes, go right to it.
Yeah, right?
I mean, to be fair, though, sci-fi has predicted so many things in the world.
It has.
Especially where money flows.
And how it works, man.
Oh, it's definitely a place to look. It's just not the obvious place to look.
Right. So you got that coming up. I'm sort of excited for this game. I'm a little disappointed from the one article because it mentioned there's no like movement lag for the larger mechs type of thing or larger Gundams. Because I mean, when you go back to how it is,
don't get the anime kids mad.
I know.
It's the difference between a mech and a Gundam.
There is, but we're talking sci-fi here. So sci-fi, it's more like a mech.
Don't have to worry about kids in purple hair and giant metal swords out in front of your car chanting.
And Miss Marvel, another comic book thing, and again, sci-fi or not, that kind of depends upon your view of what you actually define as sci-fi as.
Miss Marvel, I think, is probably one more geared towards sci-fi because she's out in space. It's
right.
not. It's and Carol Danvers was a 80s person that was then removed out into super high level technology. I mean, that's for a comic book. That's probably as sci-fi as it gets, unless you're dealing with like Cable or now you never see how my brain just shut off right there.
That's right. Because I never got to the release date on that. It should be early June on June 8th or 15th on Disney Plus. So that's another one. All right, Dave. So we're now going to get a little bit more into the show here. But to begin with, I'm going to ask you a few questions. So what's your favorite sci-fi franchise?
Oh, got to be Fallout.
Fallout.
Absolutely.
So out of everything, movies, books, games, Fallout.
All right. So if we're going book, that's got to be Ender's Game.
All right, there you go. I love Ender's Game.
Just the concept of, I don't want to sound conspiracy, but our government tricking kids into playing video games to defeat our enemies, that's just amazing.
Yeah, but that's just a cop-out of, because I was thinking about this the other day of, God, now my brain's
you
doing
need a
that
little
same
button
thing.
right here that has the Jeopardy theme song right there. Dude.
I really do need that kind of stuff as well. The Last Starfighter.
Oh, yes.
So
Absolutely.
Ender's Game came out around the same time as The Last Starfighter, did it not?
Oh, you know
what? It was
what?
in the 80s for both of them.
It was
I thought.
definitely.
I don't know which came out first.
Yeah, totally not Googling.
You totally can. You could probably do it faster than I can on my crap phone. I mean iPhone. Yeah, you brought both of
Sorry,
them,
kids.
Android and the iPhone.
I got sunglasses with Bluetooth in the car too.
So, yeah, I mean, The Last Starfighter was, because I was reading an article about that, they were 75% done with an arcade game for The Last Starfighter to match up with the movie, and talking about that money grab thing and tricking kids into going into space type of thing.
And $0.25 a pop too.
Yeah, but
You
they
pay
were
for your own fuel.
$10,000 games when Atari decided to scrap the project, when they were like, nobody's going to pay $10,000 for arcade games at that point in time, where nowadays people are paying $10,000 for arcade games.
Oh, you ought to see my brother-in-law's pinball fanaticism.
Yeah, some of them are way more expensive than that. So I think that was a missed opportunity by Atari, but
They were way too busy with E.T.
They were. And fucking that one right up.
The shame. Except for as I remember playing that piece of junk as a kid, where you're hitting the button to make E.T.'s neck move up and down to gain momentum to get out of a pit. And you're screaming at him. I'm like, but we're the same age, so
Yeah.
that had to have been what, like 82, 83 neighborhood.
I didn't play it that soon. Like, I got an Atari kind of secondhand from my aunt who had it. So like some of the first sci-fi games, and this is a great introduction into that, were Asteroids and Space Invaders.
Space Invaders, Galaga.
Galaga, I love Galaga.
Our neighbors had an Atari. And I didn't particularly like the neighbors, but I really loved their Atari.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a terrible person. But no, I remember going as a kid, and it colors your world forever. Those first games that you get to play. And like you said, Asteroids, there was we lived in Silver Creek at the time, and there was a corner store for those people under the age of 40. A corner store is this little building that you could buy candy at for less than a $5 bill.
Don't worry, I might edit this later on in video production.
I didn't even put any bad words in there.
Oh yeah, I did say I was going to try to avoid it, and then I'm the first one to cuss, but that's all right.
Which is amazing for anyone that actually knows me. But they had an Asteroids game there,
Right.
and it still had the roller ball, and it was amazing. And I think my kid, who's 16, and if anyone's looking for a 16-year-old to do hard labor, I'm perfectly happy to send you to him.
Oh, I got one of the two the same age.
His first sci-fi video game, his first video game was Minecraft, but his first sci-fi video game is probably Fortnite. And I mean, I feel like I failed as a parent.
I think my kid's first sci-fi game. Oh, geez, what did I get him on first? I mean, they do play a lot of Fortnite now, a lot of Minecraft now, but there was something else that I was playing at the time that they really kind of got interested in, and I forgot what it is right now.
I'm telling you, I had a tear when I walked into his room, and there he is with a headset on, flossing. For anyone who doesn't know what flossing is, look up the flossing dance. Make sure you put this correctly in your search engine, and you will see my shame and my tears.
That's beautiful.
What are you doing, Dad? Get out of my room. Like, there's other things in this life I'd have rather walked in and seen you doing.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. So there's a lot of fantastic games out that just got kind of shoveled under. But since we're moving that direction, we got to talk about Fallout.
All right. So talk about your favorite.
All right. So there's a couple of them that are out right now that are just absolutely phenomenal. For people who haven't had a chance to play it, I mean, it's only been out for like 10 years. The Star Trek Online.
Oh, I play STO. I bought a lifetime subscription for it the
so do I.
first time, and now it does me absolutely no good, but that was great.
Well, what kills me is I bought it on PC as Lifetime, and I bought it on Xbox as Lifetime because I'm a horrible person.
I don't think I did both.
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize I'd done both. I logged in one day. It was like, oh, I lost my info. I'll just spend the money and do it again.
Wow.
Not a smart person. But in the last couple of years, we've had some rather good games that have fallen by the wayside, like No Man's Sky.
I loved the concept of No Man's Sky when it first came out. I thought it was going to be great. I pre-ordered it.
And it was trash.
Thought it was going to be the thing. It was a little interesting. And No Man's Sky was the game, one of the first games I introduced the kids kind of to, because it came out. When did it come out?
2017?
Yeah, it was
been
one of
5
the
years or
first
so?
one. Yeah, it was one of the first ones I introduced them to, but it wasn't that one. And they're like, "This is boring." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
It was almost beautifully boring.
It was.
So my concept of it, when it first came out, I don't play a whole lot of. I play almost zero PvP.
Right.
I play video games to get away from the conflict with other human beings.
I play a lot more PvP.
Yes, I know you do.
And STO is PvP.
It can be, yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe not a ton, but a little bit.
Well, I mean, that's the end game. End game is in STO. I go through all these story arcs, of which there are tons.
Oh, yeah. All over the place.
But at some point in time, until they put out the next season, the new keyword for expansion payment, is all PvP. I mean, there's just not a lot else to do at the end game. But the good thing is to get to end game in that game's a year. You're going to do everything. So,
but a lot of those missions ended up being repetitive.
Well, everything's a trope. Fetch and carry. Hey, some alien ate my babysitter. Can you please go tell them they're naughty? Things like that. Which, Commander Keen, awesome game. Aliens Ate My Babysitter, one of the finest pieces of late 90s video game ever.
And you know what the first game is now that I totally think about it? Spore.
Oh, Spore was excellent.
Love
Spore was
Spore.
excellent.
I love Sid Meier's, a lot of their games. Civilization is kind of sci-fi-ish.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, it took you all the way up till you got to a space race.
Once you launch.
Yeah.
No, there's what I really liked, and I have a very frenetic mind. Sorry, everybody. I bounce around. ADHD.
Similar for me. That's why.
Should have taken that Adderall.
Anyway, go ahead.
Or at least not taking it with the beer. You got that one out. What I liked about, and what I like, because I still play No Man's Sky, was they recognized that they had a limitation
Right.
on the hardware and their ability to make it, I don't want to say a viable video game because it sounds terrible, but a commercially viable video game. They missed the mark on that immensely, but then they made it up with probably the greatest, I'm sorry, here's your flowers, here's your candy, I'll go vacuum, I've ever seen.
Really?
Oh, have you had a chance to play it?
I have not gone back to play it after about the first week of playing it.
Oh,
I've seen some of the expansions
you would
come
not
back out,
recognize it.
and some of the other stuff that came out, and the last one that came out just recently, like a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Made me almost want to get back into the game
Do
and
it.
actually download it again and put it back on my Xbox and play it again. I thought the concept behind it being a procedurally generated game and like everything's going to be unique and all that kind of stuff, but then it's set in stone once it's generated. And then like I thought that was cool concept. Like you can go to 1 billion stars and 1 billion planets and each one would be different.
The reality of that is there's about 25 different planets.
Really?
Well, I mean, because you only have so many different ways that you can shake a magic 8-ball and get a different word. So if I fly to a planet, which makes my arms really tired from all the flapping, it's editable. Everything's editable.
I'm lazy. I'm not going to edit it.
When you fly to a planet, you've got a basic, like 8 or 10 different basic rock formations you can have. Like you can have a verdant world,
Right.
Lots of trees, lots of really cool procedurally generated flora and fauna. You've got the worlds that have been like space and time cracked, so there's no fauna, there's no flora except like these cool mineral deposits and things like that. You got ones with low gravity, you got ones that are volcanic planets, things like that. But when you say there's only like 10 or 12, if you head out into space, there's only about 10 or 12 different basic kinds of planets out there.
Right.
So you have people like, oh, there should be gazillions of them. I'm not sure it's a real number. But in sci-fi has to follow the
Rules.
world. Yeah. I mean, otherwise you're fantasy.
You want your science and your fiction.
You still have to have some kind of basis in science, and that's exactly what No Man's Sky follows. They're like, okay, so we have these basic 8 kinds of things. How do we then mix that with different kinds of potentially fauna that could potentially grow up on a different planet? I mean, it doesn't have to be carbon based, but you'll find that after a while, after a couple of months, you're like, oh, I know what this planet's going to look like for the most part. Right. Do I need to go explore it? Do I want to spend the fuel? But the upgrades they've made to that game are so good. It was originally it was a fun thing for about an hour. Then you're like, traveling in space all by yourself is kind of boring. The fun part is they said, the chance of 2 people meeting in this game right off the bat we're
pretty low.
Oh, in a like 1 in a million kind of thing. And then within the first 2 days, 2 people hooked up and were like, hey, high five. Way to go, spaceman. Let's go fly off and play on our own again. But they added so many upgrades to that game. They listened, and that's the crazy part. I mean, it actually happens, Internet. It actually happens. They listened to user input and completely revamped it. So now you've got vehicles, which were a lot of fun.
Right.
There's a giant mech that you can jump around in.
Oh, nice.
It all came in stages. So they put out vehicles, and you could hide in your vehicle to escape the rigors of the world.
But didn't you already have a vehicle? You already had the spaceship, because I remember that
just
vehicle.
The spaceship, though. That was it, though.
Yeah.
Now there's ground vehicles.
Oh, okay.
So you can build your ground vehicles, and initially it was very difficult to get them, and you had to build a station to teleport your vehicle to you. And it was difficult. Which was kind of nice because it gave you something to work for.
Right.
But then it just became an annoyance. So then they added a couple more vehicles. Hey, thanks for that. Then they created the vehicle teleporter. So now you had another vehicle. You had a space freighter, your very own space freighter, which I can't for the life of me think of another game other than maybe Aliens, and that's not the space vehicle you want. I don't want to go park the Nostromo in my front yard without, a couple of, beware of dog signs on it. They gave you a space freighter.
EVE Online.
I stand corrected.
Super spreadsheet.
Yes, the world's greatest math game.
I still loved EVE Online to begin with, and I played it hardcore for the first year and a half it came out. Unfortunately, that was like the last time I played PC gaming was after that came out.
Yeah, well, that's a tough one. The EVE Online was such a fantastic concept, but it was really just economy.
No, it was economy, or it was one-on-one death battles with this thing you just spent 3 months making.
Oh, yes.
And then it would just blow up, and you'd have to spend another 3 months making it all over again.
Right back to the economy.
Right.
But great concept. The name is escaping me right now. It'll come to me in a second. But to move to Fallout 76 had exactly the same problem as No Man's Sky. The game came out, and for whatever reason, now, so the world knows I love Fallout. And
there's a ghost in here. I've been told this before.
Oh, outstanding.
So something fell in the background, and we don't know what it was.
I just wondered if the ghost librarian from Ghostbusters had a nice set of legs. She looked like she did.
She looked like she was 70. Whatever.
I'm not ageist. I will not make any hot grandma jokes on your podcast.
Too late. Thank you.
Nope, you can edit it out. You knew what you were asking for. Tony and I have known each other for since 2000.
Don't talk about work.
Nope, 2008.
Somewhere around
2003, 2008. When did you start at that place that we worked that we won't mention?
2002.
So yeah, 2003 then. So we've known each other for a long time. But Fallout's my absolute favorite game. I love the retro 50s look, the sci-fi retro 50s, because they can add so much pop culture in there, all the way up to 2077. So, We still got some we can add.
I don't know. I played the demo for that, and I thought it was interesting. It was kind of all right, but I mean, some of my friends were really like, "Oh, we're going to get this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this." And I only had one of them that really got on there to do anything with it. So I've learned not to pre-order games anymore, and a couple of times.
Well, Fallout 76 was a complete failure. Absolutely unadulterated garbage. The I don't know why.
Cyberpunk 77. 2077.
More garbage than Cyberpunk.
Actually, I have the Series X, so Cyberpunk ran fine. I had no idea what people were freaking talking about on my Xbox, but I only played it for like an hour and a half, and I'm like, I'm really not into solo games.
Well, I had to buy my Series X in a parking lot just so I could play that damn game appropriately.
I got it launch day somehow.
Somehow
I missed the original window. Somebody was having a technical glitch. I think it was Best Buy, so I ended up getting mine through Best Buy because they launched theirs an hour later due to a technical glitch. And then their site was so overloaded, like it was like 20 or 15 minutes in there before they're like, hey, they released some more, and I got in there and got it.
Nice. No, I honestly, I have had almost zero issues with 2077. I do like to play solo games. Don't get me wrong, I like to be sociable. Sometimes, but again, I don't like PvP, and a lot of the games out nowadays are just
PvP.
Yeah, they're battle royales. Thanks, Fortnite. Don't picture me flossing. Yeah.
Don't picture him flossing. That'll burn your eyes out.
Cyberpunk's actually a fantastic idea. That too. They took. I was not sure how they were going to make the concept of cyberpunk, and if anyone here listening to this podcast has never heard of cyberpunk, I think you're on the wrong podcast. Yeah,
yeah, really.
It's other than do Android's Dream of Electric Sheep. That is the seminal sci-fi. I had no idea how they were going to conceptualize lockpicking through cyberpunk, or how they were going to how do you conceptualize shutting down someone's hardware in their brain through a video game,
their neural network.
Yeah, and I think they did a good job. It's not the best. It's
right.
not it's not optimal, but I feel that they did, for what they were working with, the best that they could. I do, on the other hand, believe in all the other complaints people had about the game. Texture pop when driving. Driving is still terrible.
I had a little bit of that. That was the only thing that I really saw while I was playing with the Series X, but a lot of people were not just frame rate drops, but like bad locks and bad things where they had to start the game all over again, and anything less than a Series X.
I got lucky, and again, like I said, I played on the Series X. I didn't have any of those technical glitches.
Neither did I. But I had about 3 other friends that got it that weren't on the Series X yet, and they were playing on the Xbox X or the Series S one, and it was locking up on them.
I believe it. I mean, it's a visually intense game.
Very intense game.
Especially when it rains, or the new dust storms. The dust storms look amazing. The lighting and the particle effects. So you're walking down the street, trying not to stab somebody because it's a video game. We're a little violent. But you're walking down the street and a dust storm rolls through, and that haze. I don't know if you've ever been in a dust storm. But that haze, it's spot on.
In a vehicle, but yeah, I've done it. Or smoke storm, they're very similar.
Oh, yeah. Go California.
Fires. Or Florida. You've driven in Florida. Yeah, they've had...
Oh, no, I was just saying let Florida burn. It's okay. We'll just restart.
All right.
My dad lives in Key West, and it's like... I'll never get the smell of cocoa butter out of my nose. Just...
Favorite sci-fi game from the 80s?
Ooh, from the 80s. Oh, man, that's a tough one. Oh, no, I think that's technically the 90s.
What were you thinking?
Mutant League Football.
Oh, yeah, it was borderline late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I was going to go with the classic Galaga, right?
Yeah.
I was going to go with that classic. That's my favorite one. I used to go to the arcade to play that all the time.
I'll tell you what, I loved it, and I was terrible at it.
It reminded me again of The Last Starfighter, one of those movies that ended up with a cult following, but again, bad production, bad couple other things.
Wow, we want to talk Masters of the Universe then.
Come on. Masters of the Universe was an interesting movie. I've seen it once.
Like I enjoy the movie.
I haven't seen it a lot, but I've seen it once.
But I feel like I'm walking into one of those adult theaters, looking over my shoulder to make sure no one's watching when I watch that movie. Like no one's actually going to see this, right?
Or Time Bandits.
Okay, love Time Bandits.
I do too, but
I
mean,
agree,
I feel the same way when you're trying to watch Time Bandits.
My wife does not do sci-fi at all. She's a true crime kind of person.
How about from the 90s?
Okay.
Games. We're going back to games.
So if we're going games, 90s, probably. Oh, I know that's probably. I really need to open notes on this one.
I'm surprised
probably
you knew these.
Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, but I think that was technically 2000s.
That again, you got that borderline thing. I was going to go with Parasite.
Ooh, good choice. Sega Genesis. Oh, wait, no, that was Sega CD, actually,
Yes.
wasn't it?
I like Parasite.
That's a good one. I haven't even thought about that game in
I hadn't
20
either,
years.
but I remember that because that one and Parasite 2, which was on PlayStation, I think 1 when it came out.
Yeah.
That one, I mean, I just kind of like the idea of like it's kind of zombie but not zombie type of thing. You got that parasite that takes over and causes everything. But yeah, that was
That's a good choice.
enjoyed that game a lot from the 90s,
They're
2000s.
Oh, okay, 2000s. Now we're moving into Fallout territory there. I
Yeah.
mean,
It is
90s,
Fallout.
late 90s, you got the original Fallout. But I'm going to stick with my Fallouts. Fallout 4 is probably what everyone believes the best Fallout game is, because it was so modded and it was so expansive. You got you got your little friends that would follow you, and they had cute little things. But I got to go Fallout Vegas.
Really?
The storyline was great. Background, I have 3 Pip-Boys, which are little arm-mounted computers that they have in the video game. I have a little mini nuke. I've got the bobbleheads. I do have issues. I do not have an amazing Optimus Prime. Tony can tell you about that.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that back up.
Someone actually just sent me on Facebook the other day, like, have you seen this? I'm like, you want to see a video? I pointed them to you.
Oh, I appreciate that, but that's not the original video I made. The original video I made, I deleted off just because of didn't want issues at work type of thing. And that quickly went. That almost had 400 views before I took it up, and I only had it on for 12 hours.
Really? I mean, it's an amazing toy.
So, well, the first one was just my amazing drunk little acting type of thing for that one.
Acting drunk? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, this is water in this Bud Light can.
Right.
Sorry, kids.
We won't go into that one again. And that's going to be a lost video for you guys on the thing. Be amazed if you ever come across it.
There's so many good in quotes, sci-fi games in
2000.
Like 2002, like 2008 had just a ton of good ones.
My favorite one, it was a very short game, unfortunately, but my favorite one was Star Trek Bridge Commander.
Oh, Bridge Commander was awesome.
The original voice-activated game, but it was an hour-long thing where you were playing in the movie itself, and you were acting as the captain. Loved that game, but it was 1 hour. It was like 50 minutes or 55 minutes by the time you were done, and you're like, fuck, I spent all this money for this?
And then they never did more of it.
Never
well,
did
there's Bridge
anything
Commander
else with
too,
it.
but it didn't have the same life. It didn't have that feeling.
It didn't. That first one was awesome.
Have you tried the Star Trek VR?
You know what? I have not gotten to VR too much, and my brother still picks on me for this, for being the sci-fi and stuff. With kids, wife, and everything else, I never had money to go from my Vista computer to upgrade it all.
Don't ask how much that transformer costs.
They already know. They already know.
Get yourself an Oculus Rift 2.
I was thinking about all that kind of stuff. I haven't
$299
decided. I haven't decided to do that yet.
I
really want to get back into the Master Race in the fall time of this year.
That's a different podcast. I enjoy
I'm talking about PC gaming. Everybody I know who's a PC gamer thinks they are perfect and their shit don't stink. So,
well, as was best quoted several years back, roses really smell like poo poo.
Yeah. So, but I'm thinking about getting back into PC gaming. In which case, I'll get
a new rig is so expensive now.
They are.
My buddy just bought one a month ago. Then they went on a cruise. The day they're leaving for the cruise, the thing caught fire, which is the day after he bought it.
Jesus.
So he's had a lot of trouble with that. But I love PC gaming. Just as soon as you
I want to
fall
go back to PC gaming, though.
which brings us to Artemis.
Huh?
Which brings us to Artemis.
Which really does bring us to Artemis. I think that was one of my more favorite from the 2010s time frame.
And it's still going.
It's still going.
In fact, their big yearly convention is next month, I believe it is, in Ohio.
I believe so. There is a big also group that plays up in Canada, which isn't too far from us.
They come. I'm not sure if it's the same group, but they come down here to Lockport every couple of months to just set up the portable system and go. Have you told your viewers what Artemis is?
I have not. Go ahead, Dave. You're super excited about this.
All right, Artemis, for all you people who are Star Trek fans, and I almost said Star Wars again. And then I would have headed that out. Not that I don't love Star Wars. Oopsie. And I'm knocking everything over here. Sorry, everybody. You just can't cross the two. Artemis is actually called Artemis Starship Bridge Simulator, SBS. It is a 6-person game, well, 6+, where you have in your home a spaceship bridge. So you've got a captain, you've got an engineer, you've got the tactical, you've got your navigator, you've got your communications.
Weapons.
That's the tactical.
Right.
I'm missing one. Train has been derailed.
Communications,
engineering.
Tactical, navigation, engineering, and
captain. Yeah, that's right. That's 6. And then you have a 7th system, and it sounds big and expensive. You got to have 7 computers, but it will run on your phone. Any phone from the last 5 years or so, it'll run just fine on. It's very low visual quality.
Yeah, I mean, I would say what it tries to emulate is controls for most of the game that you would use on like a ship or something like that. So most of it's that visual quality on it. The 7th one is really just a projector. Your captain is really just your captain doesn't have any controls. He literally just tells everybody else what to do with the action scenario that's going on the screen. And why Artemis gets so big as well is you can have each of your group of 6 play another group of 6 in the same little space thing here, or like 4 groups of 6s. And I don't know how big they've gotten their ability to do, but it's how many computers you can all network together to do this.
6 of those, 6 or 7. So you can have basically as many computers as you want, because you can set them up for like star fields on just monitors on the side, things like that. What's really cool about the game is, and we're jumping around here and I'm a horrible person about that, is the game itself. You have your captain stands back. He has his little command chair, which is my easy chair in the basement. The whole concept is, though, he has no direct control over anything. The only thing he can do is say, helm, what do we got on there? How many bad guys? What direction do we need to point? And he gives the helm a direction to go, a speed to go. Are we going to do a short warp jump to get around to the backside of these bad guys, rotate around 180 degrees, and light them up like Christmas? He has to interface with the tactical department, saying, "Hey, how many torpedoes do we have? How much energy do we have available for our weapons?" Got to deal with engineering. We're going to need to jump here in a couple of seconds. You're going to need to spool up those engines which means you're going to have to take energy away from everything else. Tactical has to deal with shields. How much energy do we have applied to the shields? The communications, which you wouldn't think Uhura, yeah, she got so undermined.
Oh yeah, she did.
The communications ensign, or I don't know, I guess you can have a higher rank than that, I guess.
Whatever.
Has to deal with resupply of the ship during skirmishes, contacting other ships to provoke a captain into making a bad choice, or to placate them,
or prepare the spaceport for
for docking,
refueling, and docking. And
it's actually a far more
intricate game.
Yeah, I never really thought communications would be any good, but it really is. Then you've got obviously your navigation. They got to fly the ship. Science officer. That's the one we missed.
No, when you came in, yeah.
Science officer has to
like the
scan
scanning
everything,
and
find the weak points on their ship, things like that.
Where their shields are lowest, type of thing.
Yeah, it's such in the world of video games where it is just a single player behind a controller or a keyboard and mouse. It is completely social, because we all have to have good communication.
Great communication to make it work out best. Like, I found out that I probably cannot do the captaining all that well. I did find out, surprisingly, and I didn't think Dave, with the way he is, could be the captain as well as he does end up being the captain.
I have an evil streak
in the game. Oh, you're just able to follow multiple trains of thought at the same time and understand the delays, because delay, like you said, engineering, we're going to need power to this. It takes like 10 seconds. At the same time, you got to think about what's the next thing coming up and what's the next thing coming up and plot when you're going to do stuff. And you were fairly able to follow those plots in your head.
It's an amazing game, and cheap. I mean, inexpensive as far as licensing.
It was $60 to put it on all your computers.
Yeah, I think 30 maybe. It was
30.
really. I've had
it
it for
started
years
off at 30.
point.
I think it might have gone up a little bit.
I got it when it was in beta, so I probably got it at not full retail. But then you get a license to put it on multiple computers, unless you buy it on Steam.
In which case, you're paying that Steam monthly price for it, isn't it?
No, you just have to pay for. So if I buy a license through Artemis itself, I can put it on up to 6 computers. If I buy it through Steam, I got to pay for each individual computer.
Oh, screw that.
Yep. The good thing about that is
you can now network through Steam, though.
Yeah, you network through Steam. So we might have 6 computers in my basement,
or 6 computers scattered out
all across the world. But what's really fun and amazing about the game is if you are a AV nerd, you can hook up lights, sounds, smoke machines, rumble packs,
all
projectors,
that stuff. And he was setting up his basement to look like a Star Trek bridge. Last I knew,
we got flooded.
No, how many computers did you lose?
11.
Oh. I can barely afford to buy one, and he's got 11 of these suckers that he lost. I mean, granted, most of them were older units and not that.
I paid $200 per machine because I bought from a company that was going out of business that they were a telemarketing firm. So they were low-end computers. But that's all you need for Artemis.
That's all you need is a low-end computer. You don't need to spend that $2,000 to $4,000 on the new top-of-the-line computer.
What's interesting is, so they made the Star Trek version of Artemis.
Did they? I haven't played in
VR
3 years since COVID and everything else that happened.
Thanks, COVID.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
I wanted a pandemic. It's not the pandemic I wanted. I mean, if we're gonna have a pandemic,
you wanted the whole.
I want the zombies.
And everything else.
My wife wanted it to be zombies too, because she wanted me to run more and lose some weight. I just told her, you're going to lose weight one way or the other. It's going to be eaten off you, or you're running off, one or the other. But the Star Trek simulator is very well done.
Nice.
But it died.
It died. What do you mean it died?
There's no one playing.
So really?
Unless you have a group that you're playing with.
Nobody's playing Artemis anymore?
Not Artemis, Star Trek. Artemis is off the chain.
Really?
The community for it's amazing. They have done nothing but get better.
Nice.
The last rollout for the last update was probably 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and they did. They added more enemies. They added new textures to the bad guys. They really did a good job in the last year or two, upgrading the short warp jump engine.
Okay.
Which was, I mean, I'm telling you, folks, you have not had a good day until you've taken a super short warp jump to behind someone's ship and just lit them up and watched them scream. It's amazing. Yeah. Because you have to guess. You have to guess the distance from your ship to where you want to come up, and you really don't want to pop up into a minefield.
Right. You really don't.
Mines are bad.
All right. So what's the current sci-fi game you're playing?
Oh, Fallout 76.
76.
Cyberpunk 2077. I had to try out all the Cyberpunk updates.
Yeah.
And for the most part, they're good. Driving is still bad. It's the controls are wonky.
The controls were always wonky because you had to use the 2-stick thing because one makes you let you look side to side and the other one controls the car, and it's
the problem is we get set in our ways. So you play like Gran Turismo or GTA, things like that, and you get that controller set, and you're like, okay, right trigger is go forward, left trigger is the brakies, and the X, B, triangle, whatever button is the handbrake.
Yeah.
There's no handbrake.
There's no handbrake in Cyberpunk 20.
No. So you're like, okay, I want to drift around this turn.
You can't drift. You have to slow down.
None of these buttons
Yeah,
do
but
this.
realistically, like I drive a Subaru now. My Subaru won't allow me to drift, period.
You have to turn it off. You have to turn off the traction control system.
Even if you turn it off, it still comes back on and automatically enables.
I can turn it off. That's my Subaru right there too. Yeah, I took the kid out to teach him how to control a skid, and it took 10 minutes for me to figure out how to turn off all the traction control. But you can turn the traction control off and just do donuts in a church parking lot and watch people get mad at you.
Nice.
But no, I'm hoping there's a lot of games that are on the horizon, and I'm really hoping that they're not all just vaporware. And of course, none of the names are coming to my brain right now. But I've really found that, I hate it when this happens. Aliens building spaceships.
Right.
I can't think of the name of the game.
Aliens building spaceships.
Kerbal.
Okay.
Kerbal. All right, sorry, folks. We're Googling this one. My brain is not working.
Well, we got that going on. I'm just trying to think of what else do we need to cover in this
Kerbal
episode?
Space Program.
Kerbal Space Program. So you were right.
Have you got a chance to play it?
I have not.
Do yourself a favor. It's fun. It's little space aliens building physics correct spaceships.
Interesting. And this is available on
almost everything at this point.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I can play it on my refrigerator, and that just has a little water cup thing. So you're designing. What's amazing about it is definitely 100% in sci-fi because it's little aliens.
Right.
Making. So you get this raft of starship components, and you can bolt them on any which way you would like. And it uses a fantastic physics engine to figure out how it would fly, if it'll fly, where it'll fly, or if it's just going to blow up and you have a bunch of little smoking aliens running around.
Right.
Super fun. But it's not for everybody because it is a very egghead kind of thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, since I don't have a PC, I don't get into some of these egghead type games all that often. So, like I said, I want to keep this going. This is a little bit short. It's only a 50-minute podcast. Right
My wife
now.
complains about the same thing. What? I'm only 5'10". Edit.
It's not going to get edited again. I'm lazy. All right, so I think I might just end this podcast here. Unless you want to talk about another game.
Well, we haven't even gone to board games yet.
Oh, that's right. That's where I thought there was something on there. I'm like, I was going to give you that chance because I even told you that pre-show that we were going to give you that chance to discuss board games because I don't play a lot of board games, and Mr. Clark here is a board game fanatic. He absolutely loves board games.
I only have 500.
So, what is your current sci-fi board game that you're playing?
Nemesis.
Oh,
probably the best game. Definitely the best as far as I'm concerned. And my opinion only matters as much as everybody else's. Nemesis is, we're not going to say a ripoff of Alien.
Okay,
because
we're not
it
going
does
to say
it better.
All right.
Oh, in fact, it's out in my trunk if you want to play it. I have a problem, folks. So picture you're on the Nostromo.
Back towards the mic. Just a little bit.
There we go.
There you go.
So picture yourself, you're on the Nostromo, and you're having a great day, and you're like, "Hey guys, let's go into hibernation, and we'll get to where we're going." Which, again, if we're going to go with that, The Expanse is amazing, but we're going to.
I love The Expanse.
Try not to deviate here for a second. I don't have a good mind. So you go into hibernation, and then all of a sudden your board game starts out. The klaxons are blaring, the lights are flashing. Something's gone wrong. You get out of your cryo sleep chamber. The captain's lying dead on the floor. What's going on? Did something just move past that corridor? What was that? That's the opening premise of the game.
Right.
So what has happened is there was a technical glitch. The ship shut down for a minute. The captain got out, checked, make sure everything was all right. Got back in his cryo sleep pod and took off again. Well, physics. What happens if you don't put the cat back in the cryo chamber when you jump to almost light speed? The cat goes splat. So the alien DNA got on board somehow, mixed with the cat. And now you have a good reason why those aliens look a whole lot like, the aliens from Alien. So it's just their fun flavor of how they do it. So the board game itself is between 1 and 5 players.
Right.
The production quality is absolutely amazing. Look it up, Nemesis. It is an amazingly well-built game. And the ship itself has, I believe, 15 different rooms on.
So is this sort of like Clue?
Yes.
Okay.
It has different locations in it. And actually, that's fairly apt. So you're trying to, each person in the game is given a character, engineer, soldier, captain, medic, scout, and a couple others. You are then given 2 goals.
Right.
And you're going to choose only one of those 2 goals. The first goal that you can choose is what they call a personal goal, which is usually the more kumbaya, let's all be friends, try to get out of here, which still may require something. But then they have the corporate, and they don't come straight out and say Wayland, but you have a corporate goal, which is
evil
usually
corporations.
Yes, which is usually more like get a sample, let everyone else die, so there's no witnesses. But there's no direct confrontation between the players. So I can't just walk up and put 2 phaser blasts in the back of your skull and be like, I didn't do it.
Right.
But what you can do is, in order for the mission to succeed, you have to survive.
Right.
And to win the game, you have to complete your goal. In order for the ship to make it back to Earth, the nav computer has to be pointing towards Earth, which can be a change to Venus, Mars, data space, things like that. At least 2 out of the 3 engines have to be working, which you can then tamper.
Right.
And you have to either be in a life pod or you have to be in the cryosleep chamber. That's what has to happen for the ship to make it home or for you to win. The only way the life pods unlock is through manual control through one of these rooms, and the rooms are randomly put in an outer ring, and I believe it's 15 in the outer ring. And then there are 6 or so rooms in the center that are all special. So the ones on the outside are always the same rooms, it's just the orientation. the ones in the center ring are special rooms, and there's more rooms than there are spaces. Again, Mike again. Sorry, folks, I am not a professional. The inner ring, so there's like 8 of them, but there's only 6 spaces, so you never know which 2 aren't going to show up. And then, of course, the aliens come in and they want to eat you and things like that. And you can, oh, hey, come on, run this way. Oh, someone pulled the hatch door shut. You can't get through. My bad. So it's really a fantastic game. It's super easy to learn. And the individual turn is only about a minute and a half. So, yeah, you got 5 people playing, but unlike a lot of games where you're sitting there for 20 minutes waiting for your turn,
right.
You're only sitting there just long enough to think what you need to do next. And there's an element of randomness to it. Your ability to do anything is governed by the 10 cards that you have. And each person has 6. Oops, sorry about that again. Each person has 6 of the same cards as everybody else, and then 4 of their very own of their character type.
Right.
And no one knows what order you have them in, and everything has a cost to pay that card. You pay that card cost with the cards in your hand. So if I think we just went to sleep over there.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah, we're
Still
good.
there.
Oh,
shoot. I don't know if it's recording any longer.
There isn't enough room because Dave has to lose a little bit of weight.
So I lost half of my video. Well, Dave is on there, so now you're going to be looking at me looking all over the place.
That's okay. I'm not that pretty.
I'll improve. I swear to God, I'll improve somehow. We'll get to there. So I have no more space on that computer with only a 256 gigabyte hard drive.
Oh, yes. No, definitely not.
All right. So there's that. And now I got to figure out that later on.
But so if you're going to,
we're gonna
I don't need to be on
Oh,
camera.
yeah, you do.
All right. Sorry, everybody. He made me do it. So so if you want to move from one room to another, it costs 1. So to do that, you'd have to take one of your cards, because each card is worth 1 for the most part, and go, it's gone. So now my hand limit of 4, now I've only got 3 cards. Well, what happens if an alien shows up? Oh, I need a card to take care of that.
Right.
And then I need ammo for the weapon I have. Where do I find the ammo? Well, that's triggered through finding it on the table,
right?
Which I need a card for. So what makes the game so good is the scarcity of materials to do anything, and the scarcity of cards to do that action. So the whole game is super tense. You're like, oh, I can't afford it. If I do that, I can't. And then what happens if an alien pops up? It really is such a good game because they keep that level of tension super high. They keep time between plays super low. And you never know if that other person is really out to help you, out to just help themselves, or trying to get a new position in the job. It's fantastic.
Or do you have to kill people to get new jobs?
Well, I say to get a new job, but you're playing for that promotion. You're like, oh look, I brought back this alien seed for you in my belly. One of the little fun side things of it, and it's not a huge portion of the game, is you can be infected. And when you get infected, I said you got those 10 cards. You get a junk card that bloats that deck. So it doesn't do anything, but you still only have a draw of 4 cards. Or 5 cards. So I draw my 5 cards, and all of a sudden I got this one bloat card in there that I can't do anything with other than discard. So now I have one less card, making it even more tense.
Right.
But you remember how Transformers back in the day had that bar graph on the back, and it had the different colors on it. You had to use a little magic screen, a little filter to look at them.
Kind of.
Well, they have that.
All right.
And the infection has like five rows on it. It's like infectee, unfecte, not infectees, and it's just scrambled words.
Okay.
But if you ever see infected on there,
right,
when you put it through the magic view screen, you're infected, and you have to either get that surgically removed before the ship jumps back to Earth, or maybe that's your goal, is to bring back the infection to Earth as a human host for your totally not Wayland company to cut out of you. So yeah, it's a super intense game. The production quality And if you folks get a chance, look up Nemesis board game. The production quality is just out of this world.
So you can change the rooms on the outside, like those are randomly placed, kind of like Catamaran or whatever, like
Catan, yeah.
Catan. Yeah, that's the one.
Catamaran actually is a board game.
I know. I just keep getting Catan and Catamaran mixed up because they're similar names.
Tiles look the same too. They're hexagonal. And then they go in a random orbit. Each room is connected by 1 to 3 hallways. Each hallway is numbered. When you go from one room to another, you have to roll a die to see if you make noise. If you make noise, you got to put this little noise token on that hallway. If you roll a hallway that already has noise, you have sounded wonderful, tasty, and bathed in steak sauce, and all of a sudden there's an alien that pops up in that room. There's a little token you draw. On the back of the token, there's a number. If you don't have that many cards in your hand, the alien attacks you.
Nice.
So again, the tenseness of having those cards
matters.
Absolutely matters.
All right. Well, were there any other favorite card games that you had, Dave?
Card games?
I mean, not card board games.
Board games? Oh, absolutely. It's tons. I got 500. I have
Sci
to have some
Fi
favorites.
base. Just
yes.
one more. We're not going to go into description. Just
one quick one. It's super fun. It's fantastic for families. It's called Galaxy Trucker.
All right.
You get a chance to look at it. It's got a lot of things going on. It's got a lot of randomness to it. There's a big pile of tokens. You have to blindly pull tokens and build a junk spaceship. Everything has to be contiguous. Everything has to line up, or parts of it farts. There you go.
Farts of it.
Farts of it fall off before you fly away. And then when you fly away to get from point A to point B, you can be hit by asteroids or aliens can attack you. It is super fun for families and super fun for drinking parties too, in fact. But if you've got kids anywhere from I don't want to say 8 to, grandmas in diapers, it's a great one because it involves so many different paths of thinking. You got to have that spatial relations to build your spaceship, the pre-planning to decide, well, what am I going to need?
Right.
It's super fun, and it's like $30.
Nice.
And in the world of board games, $30 is really good.
Yeah. Really is. All right, guys. So, thanks to some technical difficulties, and the fact that I'm starting to run out of content and energy for today so far,
I babble.
I am going to cut this podcast a little bit shorter than I want to, but it's about the same as the last one, so it's about an hour we're in here. I just want to thank you guys for listening. Again, like, share if you enjoy this podcast. Let me know how I'm doing. If you want to hear specific topics, again, let me know on all the socials. Should be able to see this on YouTube as well. The YouTube videos we kind of discussed here will be a little bit all over the place because I ran out of storage space on the one computer I was recording to.
Growing pains.
Yeah.
Learn as
Eventually
you go.
I'll figure this out. So, again, like and share, guys. And I hope you enjoy the rest of you guys' day. Thank you.